Is there a single way that a company should be talking about failure, or can you give a couple of examples for how companies and leaders should be talking about failure?
No, I do not think one size fits all, right? Every organization, probably, almost every organization operates in all three contexts, meaning very consistent, well understood contexts, well understood but variable contexts, and novel, unknown. So, most organizations have at least some R&D, right? They have at least some sort of production that's, operations, service operations, or production operations that is well understood today. And then some aspect, whether it's supply chain or maybe in services, hospitals, for example, that's again, we understand what we're supposed to do pretty well, but there's so much variability just based on the nature of what we do. Every patient's different, et cetera, right? But all organizations encompass all three domains, but usually the heart and soul of an organization belongs in one of those domains, right? If you're in automotive, the heart and soul is in production, right? It's sort of this excitement of these cars rolling off, these perfect vehicles rolling off the end of the line, right? If you're in pharma, in a way, your heart and soul is the discovery and production of new therapies, to help people. And if you're in healthcare delivery, the heart and soul is in that variable context, in the middle. So it doesn't matter what you do, you need to talk about failure productively. If you are in a sort of very highly routine environment where it's super important that things go well, nearly all the time, the way you talk about failure and the way you talk about risk is particularly focused on needing people to speak up absolutely early as possible, and when they don't even have any confidence level whatsoever that they see something wrong. Like, even if it just passes through your head that maybe that might be wrong, raise your hand, right? We're just absolutely inviting people's eyes, ears, brains to be fully tuned into, let's get this right? Because our job is to keep this nuclear power plant running, keep these flights, successfully flying, and so forth. If you're in the middle, you're tuning people into conversations all the time, like in healthcare delivery, for example. As a leader, you're saying things all the time like, this is a complex, error-prone system, right? It's a pilot that I interviewed who said, he tells every new flight crew, I have never flown a perfect flight, right? And they look at him like, what are you talking about? You're the boss, right? He just says, no, I need to hear from you. He's framing the work as, yep, I'm, incredibly accomplished. I've got however many thousand hours of flight time. And turns out the nature of this beast is things will go wrong and I will make an error, right? So they're describing the potential, because otherwise the default is in most organizations that we sort of act as if we're supposed to hit our targets, everything's supposed to go well all the time. We need to actually come clean and talk about the fact that no, everything doesn't go well all the time, so as to create more permission for people to speak up, more permission for people to experiment, to stop each other if they see each other doing something unsafe or that they've already learned doesn't work, etc. And then, of course, in a sort of novel or R&D or laboratory setting, I think the nudging is like, could you take a bigger risk, right? Don't do so many safe things, right? Like this is the place where we can really pressure test our thinking, because no one gets hurt, when we're wrong. So you can see that the conversation varies a little. In all three cases, it has a lot to do with psychological safety, but it's quite precise and scientific.